Good morning.
Hello, and good morning. I finally am on your show. It's a dream come true. It's finally happened. So
It's a
many pleas,
dream
like
come
make it happen.
true.
Thank you, James.
Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. It is good to see all of you in the chat today. The Jaybefaunt show is also available in some major podcast platforms like Anchor, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and so you can subscribe there. I'm also part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can find me on the JB Show on Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RBN. Make sure to give this video a like if you're new to the channel, and please make sure to smush the subscribe button. If you do, I promise you cookies. Maybe not. But it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or internet cookies. Internet cookies are just good.
I want to give a shout out to all the patrons that I have on Coffee. You guys are, helping keep the lights on, basically, and I really appreciate it, and I'm very humbled. Thanks to David Michael, Kush Renata, Socialist Cayman, Rebecca, See the Change, Robin During, Michelle D. Village, Spunky Wombat, Robin, Eric Thomas, Carrie Matthews, and Paco Mendoza Gomez. And for the Anchor supporters, thank you to Anthony Fazio and Jeffrey Kramer. So thank you all so much. So Kit Cabello.
Hello.
Of Heartlands Media is joining us today. And number one, it's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Because you have been in this space and you have been honestly a huge proponent of the free speech and against the censorship of what we've been experiencing, especially those of us in left indie media. And one of the things I want to do is I want to thank you for that. And I just appreciate you making an appearance and being kind enough to join me today.
Well, here's the thing. Thank you so much for having me on. And, I'm really passionate about free speech and standing up against censorship. Now, look, I want to be very clear on this, too. Everyone's entitled to their opinion and their right to speak it. That doesn't mean there won't be consequences. But the issue that I'm having was big tech censoring a lot of people, including conservatives and libertarians and Republicans. And that is, as soon as you start silencing or removing people or deplatforming them, what you then have is basically like you're closing the window right behind you. You're opening up a window for everyone else to be on that chopping block too. And so, for example, when Alex Jones or Donald Trump were removed, Alex Jones in 2018 and then Trump in 2020 or after he was defeated, we saw this massive wave of censorship impacting activists, community organizers, progressives, independents, and even libertarians too. And it's just an issue that I have, because how are we going to have a dialogue and conversation if we're creating more and more echo chambers? That's the problem. How are we going to communicate with each other? How are we going to exchange ideas? See, here's the thing. Let's just look back at 2016. Something that corporate media ignored on purpose, and that is in 2016, there were conservative Republican voters who were interested in supporting Bernie Sanders. Now, the thing is, corporate media and the establishment trained us, and they did a fantastic job in dividing us and making sure that, no, conservatives stay on this side, liberals stay on this side. If you're Democrat, you stay here. If you're Republican, you stay here. There's no way we could ever work together. It's a great divide. We got to be pragmatic. But the question is, why were some of those potential Republican voters interested in Bernie Sanders' message? It's because everyone understands that Medicare for all, UBI, student debt forgiveness, medical debt forgiveness, doing something about climate change is universally popular. Now, the thing is, let's be adults here. We all know that we're not going to agree on every single damn thing. We're not going to see that world. And how boring would it be if we all agreed? We all have to have the exchange of ideas, the exchange of information. And if you continue to divide us, you're going to cause a bigger problem. Look at what happened during the 2016 general election cycle and in 2020. There's a greater divide because everyone sees that the neoliberal system that we are in right now isn't doing anything to get us out of poverty, uplift working class citizens. And in this day and age of censorship, especially with big tech, independent media has been suffering the most. And if you are going to be covering stories, especially on YouTube, you have to be careful with what words you say and who you even bring up. You got to be careful about what whistleblowers you talk about, what stories you talk about, because the YouTube algorithm is like a blind attack dog and it will go after you. Hard Lens Media has received 5 strikes from 2019 up until now. 5 strikes. And the thing is, we got those strikes removed, but there's a lingering impact of those 5 strikes. And one of the consequences of it is that YouTube will then specifically start removing subscribers and also making sure that people aren't notified when we go live. Now, there are some of our other colleagues, like the people in the Mikatsu Casa Network, Convo Couch, Nico House, Slow News Day, Frank Analysis, and so many others. They are severely hit hard. And even Revolutionary Blackout Network, you guys are going to get hit hard too, because you're covering stories on social injustice, racism, economic poverty, and so much more. But you are saying words that will trigger the YouTube algorithm. And you have every right to cover and talk about these stories, give commentary on it, and have guests on to bring light to these issues. And the thing is, what's really, really concerning to me is that, especially people of color, like Latino, Black people who have shows, independent media, are severely hurt the most, because in this day and age, there is a lack of diversity in independent media. And when these platforms are censored and deplatformed, it causes some people to maybe not be involved. And what I want to see nationwide is more citizen journalists step up. But yet we're seeing big tech specifically go after independent media, and especially channels like yourself. When you're covering stories, there's going to be a massive wave of censorship that will silence your voice. And I don't like that, because I don't want my voice silenced either. If you believe in free speech, then you have to believe that everyone has to talk about these stories. Now, the thing is, let's look at the hypocrisy and controversy around establishment media. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, they could talk about these stories. They can cover stories like what happened on January 6th. But when Ford Fisher, Status Quo, and Convo Couch covered the riots in January 6th, their videos were taken down, but yet CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC were using their footage, and yet YouTube didn't take down their content. And at the same time, what I would have to say to YouTube and these other larger platforms is, hey, CNN has done some controversial stories and it has actually broke some ethics too, like good old Chris Cuomo helping out his brother. Gee, YouTube, if we had done something like that, even a fraction of what Chris Cuomo did, we would be deplatformed like that. And the thing is, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC can get away with misinformation and lying to people, and also giving their twist to any kind of breaking stories that are happening. So we're seeing a double standard of hypocrisy, which is why I'm glad that there are platforms like Odyssey and Rockfin. But where is the old meritocracy that YouTube used to have? YouTube is now acting like a publisher. And by silencing and suppressing independent media, channels like yourself, which I want to see grow, are an uphill fight that basically YouTube is making sure that you will lose. And I don't like that. I don't want to see that. And yet I've been noticing, again, how much harder it is for us to cover stories, because we have to be careful what we can and cannot say. So eventually there might be someday where Hard Lens Media is gone. But then what about everyone else that's doing something too? We need a diversity in independent media. We need more voices, and we need free speech. And sadly, we have politicians that are in a super fast rush for censorship because, maybe they don't like how we're critical towards them. Well, guess what? You're creating more and more echo chambers. So good luck in building that coalition, especially when you start giving people the middle finger. You are mute. You are muted.
Thank you very much. I love what you said about how if they're going to come after us, then they'll eventually come after you. This reminds me of a poem that was said. What was his name? Martin Niemöller. I can't pronounce. I mispronounced the name. I know I ruined it. But
well, let's hear it.
Yeah, but the poem was, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was a trade unionist. Then they came out for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And basically, that's the same sentiment that you were expressing, just moments ago. And here's the crazy part. There were some of us on the left that were saying, "Yeah, Donald Trump shouldn't have been taken out of Twitter. He shouldn't have been taken out."
No, he shouldn't have been.
And some of us are saying, "Yeah, we disagree with Alex Jones, but to take his channel off of YouTube, nah, that shouldn't happen."
Mm-hmm.
Because we realize the slippery slope that some of these things are on. Now, when it comes to going after the ideas that they espouse and making it unpopular, yeah, we can do that all day. But when it comes to actually, banning people and taking their free speech away just because we don't like them or we don't like what they say, there's a slippery slope with that. And the thing is that we're getting to a point where we can make it so that we're silenced.
Yeah. Well, there's something else I want to bring up too, and that is when Alex Jones was deplatformed, even Trump too in 2020. Alex Jones in 2018 and then Trump in 2020, or after he was defeated by Biden, because we don't want to upset the YouTube algorithm. Because, hey, YouTube, Biden is president. One of our videos was taken down because apparently YouTube thought we said Biden wasn't president, and we were acknowledging him being inaugurated into office. But anyway, sorry, I'm just a little upset about that because we never said that, YouTube. But the point is, by removing Alex Jones and then Donald Trump, you want to know what big tech did? They legitimized their statements of, oh, they're going to silence us. See, they were always after us. They were always going to silence. Now by big tech, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all these platforms that deplatform those two individuals, they now have legitimacy to their statement that, oh, they were always going to be censored. They were always going to be deplatformed. They were always going to be silenced. And now, guess what? That boosts up more of their followers to follow them. And the thing is, we need to have that exchange of ideas. We need to hear what these people are talking about so that we can actually debate them and defeat them. Okay? That's how you build a coalition and exchange of ideas. You just don't say, oh, you're out of here, silence. No, because in this day and age, you have to win the audiences. You have to win the people. And if you come in there with a stronger platform, stronger points of view, stronger facts, you can defeat your opponent. But see, the thing is, the Democrats, they don't know how to do that. A lot of these liberals don't know how to do that because, oh, they're triggered by Trump. You know what? Trump probably reminds them of themselves. A lot. That's how I notice a lot of these vote blue no matter who people. They're saying like, oh, Trump, we got to remove him. You do realize that you could defeat him in a debate. You don't have to just impeach. You go after him with the emoluments clause. You could go after him after all of these horrible policies. Democrats, you can actually implement progressive change and actually, make the lives of working class citizens better, but they're not going to do it because secretly a lot of these Democratic lawmakers and a lot of these vote blue no matter who, blue checkmark bastards, they're just like Trump. They just are very good at hiding their biases and their lies behind a neoliberal mask because they're just that good. Censorship is never the answer. Don't start deplatforming people because as soon as that happens, you're just going to cause a further divide. And 2020 is going to be hilarious because these same spineless, jag-off politicians, especially in the Democratic Party, are going to come crawling and begging and saying, please vote for us. We got to have more Democrats in the House and Senate.
Yeah.
Well, through executive order, Biden can legalize cannabis. Through executive order, Biden can make Medicare for all happen. And through executive order, Biden can pardon student debt. But he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
But he can. He can do those three things through executive order.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't even got to my questions yet.
Oh, sorry. I'm going all over the place. Sorry. There you go.
This is a conversation that needs to be had, especially in independent media, because a lot of times people will say, well, YouTube's a private company. And it's like, yeah, but they got too much power. Can you agree that they have too much power to determine what can be said and what can't be said within the ether, within the political discussion? I mean, that's the big issue here is the fact that they have so much power. And so if they are determining what people's speech can be through this, through being a private enterprise, then guess what? Either one of two things either have to happen. Either we break them up, through antitrust laws, or We nationalize it. And a lot of times people, especially liberals, because we all gotta remember liberals are capitalists, they don't want to nationalize anything. So guess what? They want to keep it the way it is. Some of them are like, okay, well, we can break it up. But most of the time they're just like, no, because I like the billionaires that are over the tech industry because they're really cool people. And so therefore they want to keep the power in their hands. Whereas we're seeing it as like, no, that's too much power. And people shouldn't have that much power.
The only
power that people should have is the collective people. That's about it.
Yeah, and see, a lot of these liberals, they still have the whole attachment to the Obama era. They still have a lot of attachment to Hillary Clinton losing to a reality TV show clown. And a lot of these liberals are still drinking their mimosas and enjoying their brunch, all the while, again, hey, Trump's going to run again in 2024, and everyone's going to be triggered again. So let them be triggered, let them be upset, but I have no time to waste for the Democratic Party because they've shown me that they don't care about working class citizens, they don't care about progressive issues, and they're more than happy to continue on with Donald Trump's policies because the Biden-Harris administration are still carrying on with his policies. The kids are still in cages. The kids are still in cages. Hey, liberals, weren't you all going to run south to the border and get those kids out? Oh, wait, they're still in cages. Yeah. They don't care. They're at brunch. That's how I know a lot of these vote blue no matter who and blue checkmark people and K-Hive don't really give a shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. They don't care. They don't care about working class citizens. They don't care about people. They only want to they only want things back to normal because Trump made them feel so insecure. But guess what? Trump was a Democrat not too long ago, and now he's a Republican. So to quote George Carlin, it's one big club, and you, the average voter, will never be in it.
Yeah, and let's be real. You used the correct word. They don't give a shit.
They don't. They don't like us. They don't like any working class citizen, period.
No. Because we don't throw shade. We just reveal their shadow. Somebody said something in the comments earlier that I wanted to respond to. That was it was a quote. Man, I love the people in this community because they're so involved.
The audience is great. Gotta love the audience. I see War Deer Entertainment in there too. I was on his show. Shout out to Extra Bulla.
Extra Bulla. Yeah. I was on his program too a couple of weeks back. It was really fun actually. Anybody who's in this space, go on Extra Bulla. Shout out to him.
There you go. But I know you got questions. I think we went off on a tangent just a little bit.
No, it's okay. Troy C. He quoted Brett Weinstein. YouTube is not a place for grown-ups. Here's the funny thing, and I'm talking to Brett Weinstein right now. Number one, I never really talked to you before, and I really don't know who the fuck you are. Whatever. Look, if YouTube is not a place for grown-ups, then explain that to the grown-ups who grew up on YouTube.
Yeah.
And who still use YouTube for this day. Explain that to the people who do tutorials on different things in order to help us learn and improve our lives on YouTube. Explain that. Because the thing is that you're just lost in the past. YouTube is now the norm for adults. You see, back in the day when we used to have different types of TV shows and things like that, that was for us. But guess what? The parents of them used to say, well, TV's not the wave of the future. And TV is not for grown-ups. We just read the paper. We just read books. Well, guess what? Times have changed. So guess what? It is for grown-ups.
Yeah.
It's just you're stuck in the past.
And a lot of people make their livelihoods off of YouTube being content creators. And it's just not independent media that's been hit with the censorship. A lot of content creators have been hit hard, and a lot of their livelihoods have been lost because of it. That's another thing, too, especially because I know you got questions. I'm just going to say this one last thing. When we got our first strike, it severely impacted our plans on doing field work. Because Heartlands Media, we did a lot of field work, and we did the show to promote some of our work that we're doing in the field. Since then, after those 5 strikes, it's been a long struggle to get back to where we could become economically viable, so we could send out a team, we could hire more people just to do some more groundwork outside the state of Illinois and do some more stuff. But it's been very tough, and maintain the studio and everything else. It's because of our subscribers. Now, over time, this year we are looking to expand and go into different platforms so we can start building up, an investigative team and start going out there covering stories on the ground. But like I said, the censorship, especially these strikes, will systematically hurt any content creator, and every content creator, no matter what their genre is. People have to be careful what they can and cannot say on YouTube. And YouTube wasn't too long ago a meritocracy, but ever since then, because corporate media was jealous that YouTubers were doing better than them, they decided to censor them, silence them, and all that other BS, which I think is like, it's just I'm so enraged at how far back we have come as a society when it comes down to free speech.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of the system that we have right now outside of YouTube, because if we try to do things through a meritocratic forum, then we're also taken out as well, because then it's like, well, they don't want us to succeed at something, outside of it. It's just crazy how this system works, because just like, no, I want to be on top even though I suck the most.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way mainstream media operates. Is like they suck the most, but they still want to be on top, and they want to take out the ability for anyone who is better than them to succeed.
Look at how they're trying to silence Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is knocking them out left and right, and yet CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, well, I don't think Fox, but more of the liberal media is trying to silence him. And it's just like, you guys really suck. That's why no one likes watching you. No one's interested in hearing, Wolfowitz, to hear his boring ass talk. Okay, no one's got time for him. Yeah, he's like the saddest lonely man on the planet. He probably eats soup at night by himself. Okay, I should say that about him. Never mind. Okay, I'm being mean. That was mean. That was mean to me. I shouldn't have said that.
Let's be real. If Wolf Blitzer had his own YouTube channel, he'd have less subscribers than me. So, and I'm brand new. Okay, so I just wanted to get to these questions really quick, because I think that these questions are going to be helpful for people who are trying to get into this space. And also it gives us a little bit more of a way to get to know the person behind the desk, so to speak. And so I hope this is enjoyable for everybody. You're one of the hosts of Heartlands Media. Can you give us a brief summary of how you got into that and what inspired you to move into the independent media space?
Okay, so I served 4 years in the Marine Corps. I then, that's from 2004, 2008. I got out, went to college at Northeastern Illinois University. I majored in political science, minored in news media and communication. And what kind of led me into, I guess, communications, independent media, being online, talking about politics, giving my commentary, was, of course, and this might make some people angry, watching the Young Turks originally, right? I was inspired by the work that they did. But come by 2016, I was really decided, like, okay, now's the time to get involved. And I used to be part of Wolfpack, which was the organization trying to get money out of politics. And after we won, we were like, okay, well, what else can we do here in the state of Illinois? We got SJR 42 passed, and we were like, what's next? And kind of Wolfpack didn't really tell us what to do, so we were kind of just doing our own thing. And during the election, or the election cycle, during the Democratic primary, Daniel and I and a few other people, we were going to go to Philadelphia. We said, hey, it'd be great. Let's go to Philadelphia and let's record it. Let's do some on the ground footage and talk about what's happening in Philadelphia. And we went there. No plan, no nothing. We didn't have anything, nothing organized. We were flying by the seat of our pants, and we did a road trip up there. And I'm actually proud to say that Daniel and I actually snuck inside the DNC Convention Center. No press pass, through the front door, not through any secret entrances. So somehow 2 guys from the city of Chicago, and we didn't know what we were doing too at the time. So we got past security, and this was on the day when Hillary was, quote unquote, selected or inaugurated as the Democratic nominee. I say in air quotes. Going in there, honestly, I couldn't tell the difference between a Clinton supporter and a Trump supporter. Just the way the Clinton people were smearing and attacking and verbally abusing and assaulting Bernie Sanders supporters and Green Party people. It was a sight that was just like, I was thinking, oh my God. You do realize, Clinton people, that the more you keep on abusing and spitting and hurting on these Bernie Sanders supporters and Green Party people, they're going to tell other people what happened to them. And we talked to a lot of Bernie Sanders delegates and supporters and volunteers, and they were all telling us the same story: how they're being assaulted, how they're being spit on, how they're being lied to, how they're being attacked. And how do you build a coalition? So we were covering this, and I was really upset at a few other independent media networks at the time, TYT in particular, on how they weren't covering the fact that Bernie Sanders supporters were being treated like this. And I felt that it was important that, hey, we need to talk about this. We need to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And we have to shine a light on just how inept the Democratic Party is, because there's a good chance that Trump could win this thing. And I remember walking out of the Wells Fargo Center like, there's a 50-50 chance Trump can win this. He could pull this off. He could really pull this off. And on the road trip back, there was some talk between Daniel and I. How do we try and build this thing up? How do we build up an independent media? And as time passed on, come the new year, by 2017, I get a phone call from Daniel, and he says, "Kit, I have an idea. Meet me at a bar." I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go have some pizza and beer. Why not? Let's make it happen. And there's been a lot of iterations of the Heartlands Media team. Daniel and I are like the original 2 members of the network, and our whole goal was to set up an independent media network that would cover stories that corporate media wouldn't cover. And we were going to do on-the-ground activism work. We're going to cover protests, cover debates, and all that stuff. And this was when we were filming on the streets, and all we had at the time was a Galaxy S7 cell phone. So we used that audio and that video to do a lot of our video work and our coverage. And it was really impressive. Impressive at the time, just how much we were able to get done, and we were really excited about this. And then we had a chance to meet Lainey Peterson, who was another original member too. She actually got us onto radio. And so we were on 2 radios. First, we got onto 1 radio station, then we got onto another one, and then we were on public access television. We had 3 seasons on CAN TV. So we had to learn how to run radio shows. We had to learn how to become showrunners and producers, everything on the ground. And it was a challenge to do all that, going from the streets of Chicago to being in a radio station, 2 radio stations, and having a TV series too. But it did get to the point to where, we were doing all this extra work, covering all this field work, and we realized that our reach wasn't large enough, and we had to get onto a larger platform. And obviously, Nico House, Jimmy Dore, and a few other people said to us, hey, look, you should get onto YouTube. And that's when we got onto YouTube. But even then, when we were doing it, we were not doing like the show that you see now, because we were just uploading clips of what we did on radio and on television. It just got to the point where, okay, we need to make a presence on YouTube so we can do a show. And plus, on the 2 radio stations we were at, 1 radio station, we never got our analytics. So by not getting our analytics, we're not knowing who's listening to us. We don't even know if we have an audience, and they never really gave us the information. The other radio station, they were cool, but they just cost too much to rent their equipment. And in CAN TV, it's being public access television. We had to separate away from that for the time being, but we are actually going to return back to them this year. So we decided to do the show, and we were doing the main show at Daniel's old apartment until we actually got our old spot with the fake brick wall, and now here we are in a brand new studio. I don't know if I can show you around just a little bit. We got, well, there's some parts of the studio right there. There's behind me the city skyline. This is one small part of the studio right there. But we go from having being on the streets and now having a nice studio spot like this. And the thing is, what I want to tell everyone is it is possible. You can go from the streets to having this spot right here, which is downright incredible. But it's a journey where you have to make mistakes along the way. There's no such thing as perfect. Don't over-tech, and it can be done. There were a lot of people who were laughing at Daniel and I about doing this kind of work. People were saying, "Well, you're not going to pull it off. You won't be able to make it. This is a hobby for you." And we did get a lot of people who were discouraging us or telling us that you need to run your show a certain way or you need to have certain guests on your show in order to make it happen. Your guys are doing it wrong. But if we were doing it wrong, why are we here now? So it's been a humbling journey, and it is possible for anyone to truly get involved and to grow as a network. But you have to put in the hours, and there's a lot of sacrifice that you have to do as well, because a lot of people don't understand what it takes to maintain a show, run a channel, and keep content consistent, because you have to have consistent content all the time, especially if you're going to be on social media. But that's something I look at with pride. We started off in the streets of Chicago to having this wonderful fifth floor studio here with a nice skyline view of the city of Chicago. So I'm humbled by it. I love it so much, all the work that we do here, and we're just getting started. And to anyone that feels discouraged, don't. It's just what you put into it. But it's not going to be easy. I will not say to anyone that, oh, you do this and it'll be fine, because every person's journey to do what we are doing, you and I, and everyone else that's part of the Independent Media Network, it takes sacrifice and it takes time. But if we can do it, anyone can do it too. It's just every person's journey is different. And I'm really excited to what we're going to do in 2022. That's what I'm really excited for.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I think people are going to take with them that, just jump into it. And
Yeah.
I love how you said that people will make mistakes along the way. God knows I have.
Yes, make mistakes. Actually, your first year, here's the thing. Make all the mistakes so you can learn from them. And when you do make a mistake, it's not just the end of your career or anything else. Like, okay, what was the mistake so it doesn't happen again? You learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. When we were on radio or television, we had to learn from our mistakes too, and what we had to fix so that we could be better at it. And I would have to say, our time being on radio and television prepared us to be on YouTube. And even then, when we got onto YouTube, we made mistakes too. There were some errors that we've done, but that's the time to do it. But don't make those errors consistent. But you're going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes, and accidents will happen. So just embrace it, go along with it, learn from it, so that you can become better. And you're always going to learn something new. Anyone who says that, oh, I can't learn anything new, get the hell out of here. I'm learning something new all the time when we're doing this show. So I'm excited for all new opportunities and new changes. So yeah, just be ready to face it.
Quicker Anarchist says mistakes are learning badges. I like that. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So this next question is actually in conjunction with your first one. So like you said, you are a former Marine. Mm-hmm. You were seen as some of the elite soldiers in the United States military.
I wouldn't go that far about me.
Well,
I'm an old man now.
It's public perception, yeah. But can you give us a glimpse of your journey through that lens, and what was one of the biggest lessons you learned that pushed you further to the left?
I wouldn't say nothing really pushed me to the left. I would just say I care about not seeing people get hurt. I would say what I learned in the Marine Corps is treasure your brothers, treasure your loved ones, because we are all on this planet and we all live together. And what I'm proud to say is that during my entire 4 years, everyone came home alive and well in one piece. I'm very grateful for what I learned in the Marine Corps, and what I saw. And I would say that, I I just don't want to see this system keep on abusing good people. Because let's face it, after 2020, the entire government abandoned us. And that means, hey, Democratic voters, Republican voters, independent voters, your favorite lawmakers in Washington, D.C. abandoned you. And these lawmakers have gold plated health care, they have wonderful benefits, and when they retire, they get to become lobbyists. All the while, the rest of us are left struggling day in, day out. There is a lack of economic opportunities, educational opportunities, but yet these same politicians who continue these regime change wars constantly help out their number one constituents, not you, but bankers and Wall Street executives. They don't care about us. Now, they come begging to us for votes, but we don't owe them a goddamn thing. And so that's what I want to say to libertarians and Republicans and Democrats and liberals and socialists and Greens. The two-party system doesn't like you. They'll say things you want to hear because they've trained you for a very long time to accept the words that come out of their mouth because we think that that's the normal. That's not normal. So what I have to say in my 4 years in Marine Corps, it's able to smell BS too, because these politicians are lying to us all the time. And so after 2022, after this midterm election cycle, whether the Democrats come out victorious or the Republicans control the House and Senate, it doesn't matter who's going to be controlling Washington, D.C., because nothing will fundamentally change. It won't matter. And so what needs to happen is working class citizens need to step up, start supporting ballot initiatives, build infrastructure for third parties, and build movements that aren't connected to the Democratic and Republican parties, because they're all the same. The same people who donate to the Republican Party are the same people who donate to the Democratic Party. They are all friends with each other. I'm going to say that again for the people in back, especially diehard vote blue no matter who or diehard Republican red.
Please.
Your lawmakers are friends with each other. 90% of the time, they're on the phone, these lawmakers, calling their donors so they can get more money, so that when they run for a re-election, they're able to then get re-elected and write legislation that will benefit their donors, so they can go right back to that phone begging those donors for more money for the next election cycle. That's something that Republican voters and Democratic voters need to understand. Your lawmakers don't like you. They don't respect you. And these are the same lawmakers that then send us to wars overseas, for war profiteering, for big oil, for the military-industrial complex. It's a sick system. And I do know this, that if any country did to what the United States is doing to, like what the United States is doing to Syria or Iraq, or turning a blind to the genocide in Yemen and everywhere else, everyone in this country would be enraged. And that's something that I bring up to a lot of liberals and even conservatives. Like when I go out to, have some dinner parties or, barbecue or anything like that, the answer is always the same. Like when I ask them, well, how would you feel if somebody did what we're doing to other countries to us? And they're quiet. They get quiet real quick. Republican and they're like, well, it wouldn't happen here. Well, no, duh. Yeah, you're saying it won't happen here, but in the long said history of humanity, all empires remain on top until they crumble down. And sadly, the United States being an empire unto its own, yeah, we could end up just like the Romans. People say that it can't happen here, but all empires fall. And what I want to see is a movement for change so that we don't go down that path. But because we have a society that's been trained by corporate media and the two-party system to vote and participate in this neoliberal nightmare, we are slowly walking towards that inevitable downfall. It won't happen overnight. All empires die slowly. And the United States is more than willing to go down that path because we have politicians that don't have imagination. We have politicians that are in their 80s and 90s. They're from a time that's long since gone. And yet these people are making executive decisions over our lives. Look at all the small business owners that have been shut down. Look at all the working class citizens that are being evicted from their homes and apartments. So I would say my time in the Marine Corps showed me that, hey, be sure to smell out bullshit when it comes your way, because that's what we're seeing from MSNBC and CNN and the Democrats and the Republicans. They don't like us. And they're very good at lying to us, too.
It's always interesting to get the perspective from somebody that's a veteran who's seen how the sausage is made, and then they can tell you how it's made. And then a lot of times they'll try to silence you because they're like, shh, 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 don't tell them. Don't tell them how it's made. Because
Oh,
if you tell them how it's made, they won't eat it. And
you
you're
know,
like, exactly.
well, here's the thing, because you brought that up, because this story is somewhat connected to what we were talking about, but it was written by George R. R. Martin. It's called, I think, the Veteran or the Soldier, I think, and it has to deal with the Thousand World series, which is um, humanity. We're at war with two different aliens, but we're also bombing our own colonies too. The Empire is attacking its own citizens too, and this soldier, he wants to go to Earth. He's done his 20 years of service, and he wants to go to Earth. But there's this commander that's trying to put him through these different tests, because this commander's worried about this major going to planet Earth, the center, because Earth is shielded from everything that's happening in on the front lines. No one knows what's really going on, and of course, unfortunately, the spoiler alert: the character dies. The commander kills the major. His medals crush him in a gravity machine. But what I always found interesting is that, why was this commander so interested in silencing this major, or trying to make sure he doesn't get to Earth? Because two things can happen. Somebody's going to sit down with that major and say, "Hey, what's going on overseas? What's going on the battlefronts on all these different worlds?" And if the major spells out like, "Hey, we've been bombing our own people," wait, what? I thought we were at war with two different aliens. What's going on here? Then all of a sudden, in the center of the Empire, you have an anti-war movement happening, and the Empire cannot afford that.
Yeah, and this is, in a sense, that's what they're doing to certain ones, like Edward Snowden, and they did with Chelsea Manning.
And just
They're
like I do to
basically
Julian
trying to,
Assange too, silencing activists and whistleblowers and journalists that are speaking truth to power. And Snowden and Assange need to be pardoned. Simple
yeah,
as that.
yeah, um,
And and
and
and
that's
and the thing is, like, for a lot of Republican voters, especially those that are maybe excited for Trump coming back into office, don't tell me that Trump's for free speech. That whole interview that he did with Candace Owens, where he did that body language and he just gave that fake, dumb, double answer where, well, I heard both arguments. There's one side I like more, but I'm going to let the courts handle it. And then he folds his arms. Dude, Trump, you screwed up. And yeah, and the thing is, he surrounded himself with a bunch of people that were going to tell him things he wanted to hear. He didn't do his due diligence. And now Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are still suffering because of his inept action and his indifference. So if you're for free speech, know this: Trump doesn't care about free speech. If he actually gave a damn, he would have pardoned Julian Assange. He would have pardoned Snowden, but he didn't.
yeah. Wasn't Trump the one who said he loves WikiLeaks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
I mean, if you love it so much, then why aren't you fighting for the person who helped create it?
Because you know what? He again, he says one thing, but he doesn't mean it. He's a very good liar. But he did say one truth. He did say, I'll give him this. During the first Republican primary debate, when the topic of money and politics was brought up,
yeah,
Trump said this: "I give these people money and they do what I say." That was the most honest thing that was said by any candidate on any debate stage ever. Because he basically told people how things are really done. I give these people money and they do what I say. And remember, Trump was a Democrat, and he knew some people named Clinton. And I think this one person named Hillary ran for New York senator. And I think Trump donated to her campaign. So that means Trump gave her money, and she did what he said. Interesting.
Yep. Man, this conversation is too good. I don't want it to be just an hour. Dang it. Okay, so I gotta go to my next question. Damn.
That's fine. It's fine. I'll try and answer quick. Don't worry. We still got plenty of time. Daniel's not in here yet.
Okay. What is one of the biggest learning curves that you had to learn while becoming a journalist in this space?
Like I said, learn from your mistakes. Double check and triple check all the facts.
Got it.
All right. That's a real short answer. Always double check, triple check, read your answers. Like, it takes me, prepping the show 4 or 5 hours just to make sure everything's all set and ready. Because I want to make sure that what I'm talking about, we're able to back it up. We're able to, verify that we're giving commentary. And one thing I want to do again is eventually organization two, and that is going back out there in the field. Daniel and I, we did a short documentary, 16 minutes long, about how you have these industrial facilities polluting Lake Michigan. And it's just, we want to make sure that everything's done thoroughly, do the research. That's what you have to do as a journalist, as a commentator too. And that is also be ready to face criticism too, because people sometimes may not like what you're talking about. So yeah, I want to keep those answers short because I know you got a lot of other questions too. But yeah,
True.
learn from your mistakes and double check everything.
True. Thank you very much for that. So my fourth question is going to be a hypothetical. And I ask this to everybody, and just, first answers that come to your mind. So you are president of the United States. It's January 20th, and it's your inauguration day.
Okay.
What are your first 3 actions you're going to take as president within your first 100 days?
Okay, I'm going to ask you this question right back. Do I have absolute power? Like, I came in with popularity, I have the support of the people?
You have the bully pulpit, yes, and you have
the popular vote in the electoral college too?
You have the electoral college and the popular vote, yes. But just recognize that the Democrats and Republicans both hate your guts, because that's the inevitable. So,
all right. Obviously, used the executive orders to legalize cannabis, forgive student debt, make Medicare for all happen. That's one thing. Number 2, make the case to abolish the Senate and House.
Ooh.
I know, and use the support of the people to do it. Now, hold on. Hear me out. It's to reestablish something else, and that is a 1,000 parliamentary House. Get rid of the Senate and House and put in a whole new Congress. And by doing that, putting in 2 term limits for representatives who will be in there. And it's just not only lawyers or doctors that could be, House be the new members of the House. This requires everyone to be involved, have true direct democracy, but it's only 2 terms. But abolish the Senate and the House. That's what you got to do. You have these career politicians, you cannot work with them. Also, pack the Supreme Court with 100 judges and make the Supreme Court an electoral body too. Now, I don't know if I'll make it that long, and that might be controversial to people. But here's the thing: packing the Supreme Court with at least 100 judges.
Okay.
Yeah, and once they're in, then implement them to be elected in by the people. Abolish the Senate and House, and then use my executive orders on that. Now after that, I got to have the people at my side. Do what Caesar did. Cross the Rubicon.
Yeah. I like what when I had Nick on here last, he said that if you are the commander in chief, that means that you have control of the military, which means that if you can unilaterally send people into war, you can unilaterally pull out of military conflicts and also do things within the military and the Pentagon that that doesn't require Congress. Like, for instance, cutting the military, cutting a lot of their funding, things like that. So I like that answer as well.
Also, I'm seeing from Quaker Anarchist who says, "Kit, you need to abolish the CIA and FBI, or you won't make it." Don't worry, I'll have my own Caesar's Legion. I'll have my 13th Legion guarding me. So I've been recently watching the Kings and Generals YouTube channel about Julius Caesar and the Roman Civil War, and it's just been it was just interesting how he was able to use the populace of the people for him. And of course, the Roman Republic was a dictatorship and an oligarchy, but the fact that he was able to get the people on his side says a lot. So, like I said, by the way, I think it was Extra Bulla who said, President Cabello, you'll be in a motorcade riding in a convertible today in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one other thing too that I would enact, because you said three things, but one other thing too, I would implement a jobs program, a nationwide challenge for all the schools, elementary from elementary to high school to colleges all across the country, of a space program, 100 ships to go into space. Yeah, creating a jobs program by implementing new frontiers. We got to look at new frontiers if we want to have a strong economy. And what else also to boost American spirit and pride by saying we have 100 ships, let's launch them into space. Let's do it. Yeah, fund NASA, because we have to look at new frontiers. And I got to quote this from Daniel too, and especially because we do follow what's happening with SpaceX, especially with space mining and going to space and looking at new minerals and resources to use. Whoever can capitalize on space mining is going to be the richest person ever. And if this country can implement a jobs program to where we can start making jobs in space and actually implementing the resources out there, it could build up a strong economy. So 100 starships to go into space. I know it sounds ridiculous, but think about it. It wasn't too long ago where the people thought the world was flat until they sent out their ships out and said, oh, wait, the world is round. Send 100 ships into space.
Got it. Thanks. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. So my fifth question is, what is something that you want to double down on in 2022?
What is something that I want to double down on in 2022?
Yeah.
I would say I'm very supportive of third parties, like especially after these 2016, 2018, and 2020 election cycles.
Yeah.
It has shown me that being supportive of the Democratic and Republican parties in full stream. So I will support third parties, and that means Greens, Moving for People's parties, Socialist Alternative, even though they're a political organization, and yes, even a Libertarian Party. I want to see how these political parties are going to succeed. And even the Liberation Party, where there was a third-party candidate that was running for governor against a Democratic and Republican candidate, even though she was kicked out.
Princess Blanding.
Yeah, Princess Blanding was kicked out. I want to see the rise of third parties, and I'm doubling down on my support for third parties. Of course, that's going to trigger people and get people upset because they're going to say, oh, well, by voting third party, you're voting Republican. How? How is that possible?
That's like having a choice between chicken or beef. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to choose the fish. And you're like, well, that's just like choosing the beef. And it's like, no, I just picked up the plate of the fish.
Exactly.
How did I choose the beef when I just picked up the plate of the fish? I'm sorry. Does a cow look like a trout? I don't think so. Like, come on.
Well, don't forget,
people are insufferable with this. Sorry, I'm losing my composure here. You know, got me looking like Rodney Dangerfield. No respect. All right, so we're about to get to some more fun questions that I would like to ask.
We got plenty of time. We're still good.
Okay, good. What is one food Cabello cannot live without?
Oh my goodness! What one food? All right. But see, the thing is, like, if I have it too much, then it won't be the same. But I like a good ribeye steak. I like a good ribeye steak with sweet potato right there, a side of asparagus, some gourmet tomatoes cooked up nice. Maybe slice some green beans there too, and a glass of red wine for it, and a shot of Japanese whiskey.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. Like I said, I fell in love with Japanese whiskey way back last year in 2020.
I've never had whiskey before, ever.
Japanese whiskey is the best.
Yeah,
right there.
I'm not much of a drinker. I just don't like the taste of alcohol for some reason. It's just like, but I'm willing to try stuff. So one day I'll be up in Chicago. We'll try some Japanese whiskey.
I know a place too where they sell it, and I'll take you there. We'll go there.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll get to Chi-Town. All right.
Yeah, and by the way, if you are here, you're more invited to come into our studio too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm gonna take you up on that offer as
Yep.
soon as I can get some money. I'm broke as hell. I can't get up there yet, but I will. Um, so my next question is, what is your favorite curse word? Yeah, I'm getting people in trouble with this one.
Fuck!
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you can use it in so many different ways. Like Rome said, when he was on my program about over a week ago, he said that you could. There's so many iterations of the word "fuck" that you can use. You can use it as a verb, a noun, and I think it was I think you can use nouns. I don't know. I'm not a English major, but you can use it in so many different ways. And so I think it's such a universal term, and I am appreciative that it is within the English lexicon, that we use it now, and I am so glad that more young people are using it, so we don't have to censor our language as much anymore. So
Yeah, exactly. I'm very impressed in how things have drastically changed. Even growing up as a kid in the '90s, there's some stuff that people are doing now that was deemed so taboo and controversial in the
yeah,
'90s. That's like, I'm so glad things kind of got a little better. Yes, this ship is sinking, but just finally it's a little bit more relaxed. But yet still, we're still dealing with cancel culture and censorship, which is still a bunch of BS. So there you go.
yeah. So that's a good one. Okay, so here's my last question. It's a little bit somber, but I think is a good reflective question.
Okay.
You are on your deathbed and you're reflecting on your life. What is the one thing that you want people to remember about you?
I don't know where I'm going to be at when I'm on my deathbed,
Mhm.
but what I want people to say is that he did the best he could with what was given to him, and he was able to survive. And he helped make other people's lives better. He was always there for them. And if that's it, that's it. I played my part on this great stage, and like a good actor, I will bow out and deal with the applause. That's it. Give me my applause, and that's it. I hope my character was fun. I always talk about the years being like seasons. Like the season 2022 of Kit Cabello was him on lockdown. So there we go. He
Yeah.
was he was shocked at how crazy a lot of his friends were. Like, no, when you bite into the crazy cake, you only take little nibbles of it, folks. I'm very disappointed at how well you are acting on this lockdown. Take it easy. I'm crazy, but you are just eating that crazy cake. Take it easy. You gotta calm down.
Hey, let me tell you, I use my age as the season. So right now I'm on season 37 of James.
Season 36
And
right here.
huh?
Season 36.
Wow. Okay. So the thing is that this, season that I'm on right now has been a whopper of a season. It has been entertaining as hell and boring as hell at the same time. And so, I mean, the season finale is going to be in about 6 months. Um, and I don't know what the hell is going to happen with that season finale, but make sure to stay tuned because it's gonna fuck you up.
Well, there's something else that I want to say too. That things are always going to change, and there was a time in my life, especially 2013. It was one of the worst years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
2013, things were terrible. I was in a very bad spot, and I want to say to everyone that no matter how down you feel, things do turn around. There was a point for Heartland when we were on the streets, people were saying that you're never going to make it. And yet, throughout all that negativity from 2017 and going up until now, here's where we're at. And we're still dealing with our challenges. So, kind of going back to your first question, for anyone that wants to do what we're doing, it is possible. You just got to stay focused on it, and you can make it. And I'm looking forward to all the new frontiers that we will walk into and all the new challenges and roadblocks and triumphs that we will face. But it was everything. There are the highs and the lows, and if you're going to enjoy the highs, you got to go through the lows too. And it is possible. And I'm very glad to be on your show and to be a guest here. And I'm having a lot of fun. And I think I'm noticing a lot of people are kind of still commenting on my space program thing. But come on, 100 ships? That'll be something. Like, it'll be one hell of a jobs program. Launching 100 ships into space. I think it's something. Setting up a moon base, going to Mars. Let's make it happen.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad to see like a federal jobs guarantee, and then they use that to, to not just green infrastructure, but also for, space exploration. I wouldn't mind seeing that, as long as we can do it in a sustainable way. Cool. You know?
No, I'm all for it. I believe that if we are to survive as a species, we do have to, preserve and save our planet, but we do have to eventually get off of our cradle and go to new frontiers.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to survive. Otherwise, I think, and I know a lot of people have different opinions towards Elon Musk, but I know that he's right about this. If we don't get off this planet, we will face an extinction. And our legacy as a species will be gone.
I think it's less Elon Musk of your thinking and more Gene Roddenberry of your thinking.
Yes. So long as we don't go down the 40K route, then we'll be fine.
Oh man, kid, it was so good to have you on, man. It was awesome. This conversation went a lot better than, like, I was anticipating a great conversation, but it went even better than I was anticipating. So I appreciate having you on, man.
Well, great. We would like to have you on as a guest too. Right now, we are in the process of rebuilding our OBS. There's been a whole bunch of. I'll talk to you later, maybe when we're done. But just like we're trying to rebuild our whole studio space here right now. So, like I said, there comes the challenges. One of the things is sometimes tech will let you down. And before we bring our guests on, we want to make sure that they're presented properly. So we're working on that, getting that all set up, and maybe by, I think, February. I don't want to make any promises. Then we can start having guests back on our show again. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed on that.
I'm trying to get myself a new camera because my joint is looking way too blurry. I need y'all to see me at least in 1080, and this below 720 stuff is just not cutting it. Yeah, I need y'all to see the actual grays in my beard instead of just, me looking like I'm 10 years younger.
I don't mind if the grays in my beard are being seen. So there we go. Yes.
Oh yeah, I actually want them because I know I'm gonna look fly with gray. That's the best part. And one of my favorite things I like to say is, the privilege, the means to grow old is a privilege denied to many.
Yes. I want to give a quote from one of my favorite series, I, Claudius, where Germanicus says to Claudius, no, it's not Germanicus. It's Drusus to Tiberius. He says, no one is guaranteed a full life. And death is the high cost of living.
Got you.
So let's see. Hold on. Wait. Razzle the Greats. You want me to say that, Razzle? Okay, fine. Nancy Pelosi, ice cream Nancy. There you go. You got your Nancy. Okay. There you go. You got your Nancy. You got your Nancy. Just calm down. We feed people. Where's my martini? AOC. AOC, you changed that. No vote to someone else, sport. I'll beat you.
Oh my goodness. Then you got Chuck Schumer.
Chucky Boy. Then there's Lindsey Graham Cracker and Turtle Boy Mitch.
Oh yeah.
No.
Mitch McConnell reminds me of that turtle from Merry Melodies, man. I'm telling you. He is the turtle from Merry Melodies. When he has to put the rocket launcher, in the shell, and he's trying to race Bugs Bunny. That's who he is, man. Let's be real. He looks just like. Look, I think they need to get a DNA test because motherfucker looks just like him.
You know what? They might not find any DNA. They just might find Jello blood in him because that's how stale and old he is at this point.
Oh my goodness.
And then of course you got Dianne Feinstein, who's 91, and she's running for re-election. She's 91 years old. Yeah, she's 91 years old. She's suffering. There's been people saying that she's suffering from early onset dementia.
What?
Yeah, hold on. Let me type it up here real quick. Dianne Feinstein. Hold on. Dianne Feinstein, right? Okay, correction. She's 88 years old, right? And let's see.
She's
Dianne
older than my grandmother.
Yeah, she's 88 years old. Let's see, re-election. Because I heard that there's talk about her running for re-election. Yeah, she's going to be doing it. Yeah. Okay, so far, she filed the initial Federal Election Commission paperwork needed to seek re-election in 2024. She will be 91 when that happens. Feinstein's staff later clarified that this was due to election law technicalities and did not indicate her intentions in 2024. She's going to run again. She's going to do it. She's going to be 91 in 2024.
Okay, it's funny.
She's 88. What more can you do?
People always talk about, oh, you know what? When you get older, you just want to retire. Apparently, none of these people in Senate or in Congress really want to.
No, because they haven't matured. They haven't matured past high school.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard was right when she was on Joe Rogan's show. These Congress, it's like high school. For example, when AOC was getting that criticism from all the Republican people talking about her going on vacation, look, she's entitled to go on her vacation. Everyone is. I just don't think these lawmakers deserve it. None of them do. What was her response? Oh, you're being critical of me because you can't date me or have sex with me. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious? That's what you expect to hear from somebody in high school.
That was a very sophomoric response.
Yeah, because you can't date me. Can't have sex with me. Like, what? Get out of here. Come on, AOC. So yeah, she's going along with the high school mentality. Same thing in Washington, D.C. Politicians.
Yeah, you got a point there. It's just, my thing is that a lot of times, like, you're in your 80s and 90s and you're still trying to determine a future that you will not ultimately be a part of.
Yeah.
Which which in a sense I'm okay with when it comes to things that will actually benefit the people. Like, for instance, universal health care. Like, okay, I'll put it this way. If Dianne Feinstein was the type of person that was like, you know what, I want to do more I want to implement universal health care. I want to implement, federal jobs guarantee. I want to cut, the military spending, and I want to get us out of these wars. I kind of would be like, okay, that's endearing, because her being so old, she's looking out for the future. But then at the same time, it's just like, but you're determining the future that you will not be part of. So it's kind of like in the middle on that, because I just like, but at the same time, it's like, why not give somebody else who will have that future a chance to be able to make that determination from themselves? So I'm kind of stuck in the middle when it comes to that, because I know a lot of people are saying, well, these octogenarians shouldn't be in Congress. And I'm just like, yeah, but what if they're trying to do the best they can for us instead of for the rich? Like, for instance, a lot of people follow Bernie Sanders and he was in his mid-70s.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I don't know. I can't fault people for being on one side or the other, though.
Yeah. So. I understand why people here worship these politicians too. I mean, I get it, but don't hero worship, including people like Bernie Sanders. Like, he had his time, and I do respect him for waking people up, but it's time for others to go further where he will not. And that's it. Bernie Sanders might have done a lot of things, but it's it's time for us to push forward because like one thing that upsets me is that he turned a blind eye to election fraud in 2016 and in 2020 and never stood up for his voters or his supporters, especially when corporate media was smearing all of them. So, yeah, I like Bernie, but it's time for us to move on.
Yeah, and that's why I can't blame anybody for being on one side of the issue or the other. I can't even debate it really because I see both sides. So, but yeah, but Dianne Feinstein, yeah, I
88 years old. What more can you do?
I think she really needs to spend time with the grands and the great grands and probably the great grands. So
I don't know. Yeah, she's got to go. She's got to go. Bye. All right. Yeah. So there we go. I had a lot of fun on your show, man. It was really great. Thank you for having me on here.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It was a privilege to have you. And I'm having you back on. Better. I got your email now, so keep a lookout.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be working here a lot at the studio, so just let me know. I'm free over the weekend, so I'll be more than happy to be a guest co-host. And same thing, huge shout out to the work you guys are doing with Revolutionary Blackout Network. You guys are doing fantastic stuff, and I encourage more people to go out there and do what you're doing. We need diversity, especially in independent media. We need more voices out there covering stories that corporate media will not cover. And I encourage everyone watching, let's have more citizen journalists now step up. That's what I want to see. So there you go. And my invite does go out to you and everyone else in Revolutionary Blackout Network. If you're in Chicago, give us a buzz. We'll let you here in the studio. We'll give you a tour around the place, and that's it. And so there we go. We got some. We might have some beers. We might have some beers and something else.
That's cool with me too. Just want to encourage everybody again. I also put the link to Kit's Twitter as well as Heartlands Media's website and their Twitter in the description as well. So please make sure to give them a follow. Please make sure to go to their YouTube page and give them a sub because they're doing great work on the ground. Once again, I would like to let you guys know that if you wish to support me further, I'm also available on Coffee. If you guys want to give any type of contribution, it's in the Chiron that's going below right now. And I just want to thank you all for being here and just giving me a chance and listening to me and the interviews that I do. This is a humbling and wonderful space. And I just want to say, I hope you all have a wonderful and beautiful Saturday and drink lots of water. Deuces. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I think we're still live though.
No, we're not. I just
Well, the live button says it's still live.